The church was filled with the fragrance of roses and lavender. The chandeliers above glittered like captured stars, and every pew was crowded with smiling faces. The bride, radiant in a flowing white gown, took slow, careful steps down the aisle. Her veil floated like a whisper in the air, her lips trembling with a mixture of nerves and joy. Her groom stood tall at the altar, chest broadened with pride, eyes fixed on her as though she were the only person in the world. Everyone could feel it. Love was heavy in the air, ready to crown itself in vows. The priest's voice rang out, calm and deliberate. "Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" She smiled through her tears, her lips forming the sacred words, "I do." But before the sound could leave her mouth, the grand doors of the church creaked open. The crowd gasped, heads turned. A hush fell so deep that even the organ's soft hum seemed to fade. There, at the entrance, stood a man. His face was pale, his eyes steady, and beside him stood a little girl with the same dimpled cheeks and almond-shaped eyes as the bride. Whispers began to ripple through the congregation like fire through dry grass. The man at the door lifted his chin and said, "Before you say those words, he deserves to know the truth." The bride froze. Her eyes widened in horror as her knees nearly buckled beneath her gown. The groom frowned, confusion and irritation flashing across his face. "Who is this?" he demanded. The bride's voice cracked. This is—" But the man at the door cut her off. He placed his hands gently on the little girl's shoulders and declared, "I'm her ex. And this child is hers, the daughter she abandoned." The silence that followed was unbearable. You could hear someone's breath hitch, someone's phone slip from their fingers and clatter onto the floor. The groom turned sharply, his eyes boring into his bride. "A daughter?" he asked, voice shaking with disbelief. You! You have a daughter? And you never told me?" Tears welled in the bride's eyes. She stepped forward, reaching for him. "Please, please let me explain. It's not what it looks like." But he pulled back, his jaw clenched. "Not what it looks like. You kept a child, your child, a secret from me. You were ready to bind your life to mine, to stand before God and everyone, while hiding this?" The little girl clutched to her father, her innocent eyes scanning the faces of strangers who suddenly looked like judges in a silent courtroom. The bride sobbed openly now, the weight of years crashing down. "I was young, I was scared. I made a mistake. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if you knew, you'd walk away." The groom's voice broke into a roar. "Protecting me or protecting yourself? Marriage is trust, honesty, and you shattered both before we even began." The priest lowered his head. The guests whispered louder, and somewhere in the crowd, someone muttered, "This is shameful." The groom's hands trembled, his eyes glistened, but his voice was steel when he said, "I cannot marry a woman whose first gift to me is deception. If you can hide a daughter, what else could you hide?" And with those words, he stepped away from the altar. The bride collapsed, her bouquet scattering across the marble floor, petals flying like broken promises. The little girl stared silently, perhaps too young to fully understand, yet old enough to feel the heaviness of rejection in the air. The groom walked past them all, out of the church, into the sunlight that seemed suddenly too bright for the storm that had just fallen. And just like that, what was meant to be the happiest day of her life turned into a story whispered behind closed doors for years to come.